So Urza has now made the Weatherlight his ultimate weapon against the Phyrexians in some unspecified way that he hasn't quite figured out yet, but definitely it's gonna be sweet. And Joyra is the captain, but she still thinks it's kind of a dumb idea, so she just gives it to somebody, who gives it to somebody, who gives it to somebody. Finally, it winds up with Captain Sisay, who's awesome. And she recruits Tongarth, who's this awesome, like, Minotaur person. So then Sisay gets kidnapped.
And Tongarth goes, what are we going to do? Okay, we need to go get Gerard.
Gerard is this sort of very archetypal, reluctant hero. He's a man who understands that he has a destiny.
And Gerard is like, oh, Sisay's taken, okay, I'll join up. Look, we need a crew, so we gotta make a few stops.
So they have Gerard, who didn't want to be there, Miri and Tongarth, who are pretty cool, Karn, who's a sad pacifist robot, Squee, who's an idiot, Stark, who's a traitor, Krovax, who is cursed, and they're like, yeah, this is a good crew, this is a good plan.
But anyway, there's a whole crew that has to get together and go rescue Sisay from the clutches of, dun dun dun, Volrath. Who is Volrath? Why, it's Vul, Gerard's half-brother, that somehow became a shapeshifter and then turned into the evil Volrath. Vul or Wrath, that's where Volrath comes from. Anyway, so they find their way to Wrath, but when they get there, there's a giant ship, the Predator, led by Grevin Ilvex, the right-hand man of Volrath, and there's a giant fight, and just when Grevin is about to kill Gerard, Gerard falls over, almost to his death.
And Gerard lands on a tree and gets taken in by the Vec. The Weatherlight crew refuses to give up on Gerard, and they find him in the forest. He's there with the Skyshroud elves. Eventually they manage to gather up Gerard and head out for Volrath's stronghold.
The ship is a dangerous path to make it. They have to go through the death pits of Wrath. They have to go through the furnace of Wrath. They have to go through a lot of dangers of Wrath stuff.
So they busted in there and found all of the captives, but then something went wrong. Krovax went nuts, said, I hate cat people, and killed Miri, the cat person. Gerard gets into an epic battle with his nemesis, Volrath. Volrath said, why did you interrupt my rite of passage ceremony? You ruined my life. I was gonna be king of Jamura, and now I have to be king of Wrath instead. I hate you. Gerard finally kills Volrath, and then it turns out it was just a shapeshifter disguised as Volrath, so he'll have to kill him again later.
So they jump in the ship at the last minute, and then they crash to the other side in Mercadia.
So Mercadia is this place where like everything's topsy-turvy, like the mountain's upside down and the goblins are smart and in charge. Whoa, this place is weird. So they crash and then they all just leave. They all just fan out. They're like, everybody remember where we parked, I guess, I don't know. And so then Gerard is in the big upside down mountain where it's definitely evil people. Only evil people live on upside down mountains. So he makes this deal with them and they're like, we will crush the rebellion. Gerard's like, you seem trustworthy. And so he like makes a deal. Yeah, we'll crush the rebellion, and then while we're crushing the rebellion, I'll get my people back because they've been kidnapped by the rebellion, and so, you know, it's like win-win except for the rebels who will be dead. And so they're fighting for the magistrate, and they're fighting the rebels. And while they're fighting the rebels, Gerard's like, hold on. I think these might be the good guys. Whoa, 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 hold up everybody. I think we're like on the bad guy side. Whoa! And so they're like, hey, rebels, we're gonna like turn around and help you.
So what happens is Gerard and his friends go to the magistrate and they make another deal, right? The magistrate says, hey, you send Hannah to retrieve the power matrix from the Saprazan merfolk and I'll let your friends go. And Gerard's like, cool, let's do that. But now when Hannah gets to the Saprazan merfolk, whoop, surprise, there's a little twist there. And instead they make a pact with the merfolk, betray the Mercadians. So they go back and rescue everybody. Then they take the power matrix to actually upgrade the Weatherlight's engines and GTFO. Let's get the flying ship out.
Part of Urza's plan is he creates the legacy, which is really, it's a weapon, but broken apart into pieces, and each piece looks like its own separate thing, so people would know that you could piece it all together to make a giant weapon. And they got scattered to the 5 winds, and so part of the Weatherlight is picking up all the pieces of legacy, so they one day could make the legacy weapon.
Some other pieces of the legacy are the bones of Ramos. Ramos was this ancient dragon engine that served in Mishra's forces during the Brothers' War, but then Urza convinced him to do good or reprogrammed him or something, and then he ended up on Mercadia somehow and he's worshipped as a god. They finally go there and convince Ramos that he doesn't need his bones anymore, and they take them, but then Takara takes the bones, and it turns out I'm actually Volrath, I'm not Takara, I tricked you. So Volrath kidnaps, once again, some of the crew, and Gerard has to get back on the ship, take over the ship again. Volrath escapes, cackling madly. And the crew decides, okay, it's enough Mercadia, let's go back to Dominaria.